This study will look at the hidden meaning of the Revelation 12 sign. To the world, it's a parable written in the sky. To the church, it's a mystery revealed. Listen to the question the disciples asked of Jesus, and the response he gave to them.
And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand.
Now let's look at the Revelation 12 parable in the sky. We will go through it in its entirety, and then come back and reveal the symbolism.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
1. The woman is the nation of Israel, and the constellation Virgo. 2. The sun is the sun. 3. The moon is the moon, but representing the day of the Feast of Trumpets. 4. The crown of 12 stars are the 12 tribes that makes up the nation of Israel, and the constellation Leo. 5. The great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads, is the Nibiru planetary system, entering our solar system, having 7 moons, and a lot of debris. 6. The man-child is Jupiter, representing the body of Christ, being raptured at birth, into heaven. Now this is how the parable of the Revelation 12 sign, which is in the constellations, will play out. Once the sun is along the side the constellation of Virgo, and the moon is at the feet of Virgo, and 12 stars in the constellation of Leo are above the head of Virgo, crowning Virgo, and Jupiter has come out of Virgo. Then the action begins. This alignment of these stars will take place on September 23, 2017, and with it, will come the unexpected Nibiru planetary system. Now the Feast of Trumpets is the day of resurrection, and the day the rapture will occur. At the sighting of the crescent new moon, produces a 2-day feast of the blowing of trumpets. And at the last trump, possibly twilight of the September 22nd, going into September 23rd, the rapture could take place. Meanwhile, the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads, whose tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth, is the Nibiru system, passing through our solar system with great destruction. Listen to this eyewitness to this coming system, what he actually saw through the Hubble telescope.
Have you ever wondered what the real purpose of the Hubble Space Telescope was intended for? It was not to explore the universe and the solar system, as some have suggested. Rather, the reason for constructing this multi-billion-dollar telescope and then placing it in orbit was for the purpose of observing the inbound Planet X. A June 6th interview with a Hubble insider states this fact as to the Hubble's purpose. He watched this mysterious body through the Hubble telescope and stated that this thing looked as if it was nearby, and the Hubble got cut off and they encrypted it, and that was the end of any transmission. So let's listen to this interview.
Back in the 1950s, most people aren't aware of it, but there was a scientific storm in America all through the late 50s about this thing out there in space, because the astronomers were all watching it, and that was back when they weren't afraid to talk about it. It was in the science magazines. I mean, I had a subscription to, like, Popular Science, and hell, it was on the front cover of the magazine one day in, like, 1961. And I was really excited when I saw it, because here's this giant red planet on the horizon of the California coast, and a humongous tidal wave coming in towards the coast. And having grew up in the mountains of the Sierras, and this thing in the magazine, it said this tidal wave coming in was going to be at least 3 miles high. And I went in and showed it to everybody in the house, and they laughed, and they said, look, it says right here, there's nothing to worry about. It won't be here for another 50 years. Hey, guess what? That 50 years has came and gone, and this baby's out there in the sky. They've been watching it. I watched it, and I can tell you, this thing has got so much trash coming around it. You know how we live in a solar system? We've got 9 planets and a big sun. This thing has got 7 planets and its own sun. The years as it went by and we watched it, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, about '08, we could see this thing like it was across the street. And we could see that it was a blazing hot ball of fire, giving out sparkles of red iron oxide dust for thousands of miles in every direction. And you could see the planet circulating it. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I really am nervous about. I think this thing's got a planet like ours circling it. This is its own solar system. We're about to have a solar system come through the middle of our solar system. This can't be good. But unfortunately, it looks as though that's what's going to happen. We were looking at asteroids. Right close to this thing, there's asteroids that are floating around right near the, that are orbiting the main sun itself. These things appear to be about 500 miles across. This thing looks like a giant red teardrop-shaped dust cloud. And you can see, once if you're able to see it up close like we did, you can see every speck out there. Now, these CIA people that I know say that we're not going to be that close to it when it goes past us. They're saying that in order to attain breakaway speed, when it comes up around the backside of the sun, its speed will at least double, possibly more, which will put it here earlier than everybody is saying it will, and that this thing will probably be about 20 million miles from us when it crosses in front of us. And then as soon as it flips us upside down, we're going to go into its debris field. These CIA guys told me that this pole shift will probably happen from start to finish in around 28 minutes. That doesn't give you a lot of warning. When you see that thing out there in the sky, you're going to have to run as fast as you can to your underground facility, because this is going to happen so fast. Now, see, here's another thing nobody's talking about. You've got this giant iron planet that they say is 47,000 miles across, getting ready to come up past us. And when it starts to approach us, it's going to start and have real serious effects.
So is it a planet or a failed star?
It's not a failed star. You know, I saw this thing up close. It did not look like a failed star. It looked just like our sun.
Right.
Okay? Would you call our sun a failed star?
No. Okay, well, you had said planet. I wasn't sure if it was like a failed star brown dwarf or a full sun. So it's a full sun?
It looks to me like a miniature sun, just like the one we have. The only difference is our sun is giving off flames and stuff, and this one's doing the same thing as it, but it's giving off this red iron oxide cloud of dust around it, and until it got close, we couldn't even tell what was in there. We could see it was hot, and it looked like it was just a dull red when we were first able to discern it through the red cloud. But as it approached, it started to become more apparent that this thing is just orange hot.
Right.
And it's got this enormous, and I mean enormous, at least 50 or 100,000 miles on each side of it, this red dust cloud that goes all the way around it. I know when we were watching it, as it started to make the upward swing to approach behind our sun, it was amazing. The red dust cloud settled down. Instead of being round, it started to settle down into a V, like wings, upside-down wings.
Right.
And I thought, boy, I wonder if that's where the ancient Sumerians got the idea this thing had wings, because, you know, centrifugal force is a funny thing. When it comes back up around the planet, when we see it in the sky, my guess is it's going to look like it's got wings, because centrifugal force is going to be pulling the red iron oxide dust and particles out to one side. This thing's going to look like a big red dragon, exactly like all the ancient Sumerians and the Chinese and all the rest of them that had documented this thing's passing before. It didn't look like a white ball or a snow cloud or nothing. It looked like a big red iron oxide dust cloud with a superheated star in the middle of it.
Now the Feast of Trumpets is not only the designated day of the rapture, but also the day of judgment. As the planetary system approaches closer to our solar system, our climate and weather will become more severe, and on September 23, 2017, some of its debris will rain fire and brimstones upon the earth, just as it was in the days of Lot. The following dramatization is what to expect on that day. The rapture of the church is a rescue mission. The church is being rescued from the fallout of the red dragon. That is the arriving Nibiru system, which brings with it sudden destruction. God has dated the arrival of all these occurrences, to coincide with the alignment of the stars, on September 23, 2017. Is the Revelation 12 sign a parable to you, or is it a revelation to you of the day of the rapture, and when judgment falls? How you answer that will determine whether you live to go in the rapture, or die on that day, or live to enter the tribulation period. Listen to what Paul writes to you, brethren, about that day.
For you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet the hope of salvation. For God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Wherefore comfort yourselves together, and edify one another, even as also ye do.
People. These things coming together at precisely the same time, is not a coincidence. This Revelation 12 sign does not point to an occurrence. It is the occurrence. This sign is not a weak sign, it is a great sign. Although this will not be an extinction event, it will change the world. Are you rapture ready? Believe on Jesus Christ, and he will hide you in the time of trouble. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up, if it blessed you, and then share it with your family and friends.